Lowdown Nation, what is going on this evening? Uh, Tonight is episode 24 of the Lowdown with Matt. It still boggles my mind that we've actually gotten to 24 episodes with this thing, but we have, and man, I'm just having a blast with it. And tonight, my guest is Mr. Zach. I hope I'm not butchering your last name, Ruggiero.
That was actually really good. Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yes,
Zach Ruggiero, who is the bass player for the Mighty Fall, which is a band based out of Providence, Rhode Island, up
correct.
in New England, and something that I love is I was noticing on y'all's TikTok, you describe yourselves as basically bringing the soundtrack for the keg party at the end of the world. And I just dig that. That is
That
hilarious.
yeah, that sounds something like Nick would write. Yeah, but that's our whole point is in a very brief sort of mission statement is we're gonna steal the show every time. Doesn't matter if we're the opening band, if we're the headline band, if we're somewhere in the middle. We're gonna steal the show, and that's any disrespect to any of the other
Oh, no.
bands or artists or anything like that. But we're up there to have a good time, and we're going to make sure that y'all in the crowd have a good time as well, by any means necessary. And trust me,
Absolutely.
I have the scars to prove it. So
But yeah, that's I like the attitude, and I also, digging through some of y'all's social media, you guys are hilarious. I mean, some of your clips on Instagram and TikTok just had me on the floor. I mean, so I can tell you guys have a good time doing what you're doing.
yeah, we're special, all right. But no, we're just very fortunate that the five of us in the band, we've all came together and just have a passion that we share, and we're all a little off kilter or have a maniacal edge, whatever you want to call it.
Nothing wrong with that.
It worked out very well for all of us, and you should trust me. You should see us. We're not at any gigs, just having a beer around us. We get some pretty hilarious stuff to talk about. So I'll
Oh,
take
no
that.
doubt. No doubt. So, I guess just getting into the matters at hand here, Zach, we'll start with the first and most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been playing bass?
So I first picked up the bass about 7 years ago. Uh, excuse me. Before then, when I was some 33 years old, uh,
Hmm.
my first instrument that I played was the drums, and I was about probably 15 years old. And my best friend, still to this day, it's been over 25 years. His father was in a cover band, a top 40s cover band back in the 80s. Had his old drum set down we call the Florida Room up here in New England. Crazy thought, I know, for anyone else in the
Yeah.
country. And I just sat down there. I'm like, you know what? Can I play this? And he's like, yeah, go for it, son. Why not? And I banged the shit out of that thing. It was awesome. Uh, so this is my high school years. Went to college, stopped playing music because I was getting education and such. Came back home and I was living in an apartment. And my drum set, I couldn't fit it anywhere. So I was like, man, I would really like to do something else with it. Through a chance phone call with our now ex vocalist, he asked me because we knew each other for over 10 years at this point. He asked me, he said, hey, we're starting a new project with a few people that you know. We know that you're a drummer, but we need a bass player. Now, I know it sounds odd, but like bass is like drums on strings, right? I'm kind of sitting there. I'm like, well, no, but the idea, I know he was trying to get, he was a vocalist, so obviously he wouldn't know what the difference was.
Right.
I always had an affinity towards the bass because of the rhythm section of heavy music, what goes on, in we call the low end and everything
Right.
like that. So I was like, fuck it. I'll just pick up a bass, and it's been 7 years straight. Self-taught, never, I know a little theory, basic scales, arpeggios and stuff like
Right.
that, but never went to class. Never, I know I've been around people that are super educated in our music scene with the bass. Oh my God. And even I'm like, I, I love it. They'll see us play. Say, oh my God, you're amazing up there. And I'm like, I'm just doing the basic stuff, man. You're the one with the 6-string double tapping stuff. And just raw and having a beer up there and having a good time. So, but yeah, I would say about 7 years so far, and still going. Hopefully for a long time as well.
Absolutely. So, as far as your personal playing style
Mhm.
goes, um, are you mostly a finger style player, or do you use a pick, or is it situational?
Uh, well, so during live shows, it can be situational.
Hmm.
I'm a pick player. There's been times where when you hear the moment, you drop your pick, you're like, oh shit, I could do a little finger playing right there. But I'm primarily a pick player, and there's a reason for that. One of my musical heroes is Jason Newsted from Metallica,
Hmm.
ex bass player from Metallica,
Right.
and I used to remember watching him just attack the strings and just beating the shit out of them. I'm like, wow, I want to do. And with our type of music, and we've done, with recordings and such with myself and the band members, we figured out that nothing against finger playing, I'm all for it. But just with our style of music, just you need the proper picking attack. So when you're just hearing it live or hearing it in the studio, you just hear it cut through the mix and just see, okay, there's some rumbling going on down there. And hopefully you get one of the bass nerds kind of listening and it's like, oh, okay, so he's doing this down here, a little pull off here and stuff like that. But I'm not against any finger playing. I'm okay with it. I can get through it and stuff like that. But primarily a pick player.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, like I was telling you before we went live,
Mhm.
I'm a converted guitarist,
Mhm.
so I'm struggling to try to incorporate a little bit of fingerstyle into my playing because I'm just so used to having a pick in my hand. It just feels weird not to play with a pick, but
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, there's been many, and trust me, people see us play live, we're rocking out and, a bunch of chaos going on. They'll see me, they've called me out on some shows like, Zach, you're doing some finger playing. Were you trying something new? I was like, no, I dropped my pick. I was like, ah, shit, I can't stop the, you can't just stop the show, but hold on, wait 10 seconds, let me finding in the dark. Okay, got it, now we can go. But at
yeah,
least with the basic improvise it, if you're a guitar player, Jesus, with at least our two guitar players, they're kind of screwed.
yeah.
So it worked out in my favor on both those ends.
Well, good deal, good deal. Um, So one thing I will say, to anybody that's watching this right now, if you have questions or comments, definitely drop them in the chat. If it's on, if you're watching this on YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, the comments will actually come into the interface. If you're on Instagram, I'll have to switch periodically over to the Instagram tab to see what's going on in that chat. But definitely feel free to interact because that makes it even more fun. Having unexpected questions.
Mhm.
So Zach, tell me about your current gear and your live setup. What do you play? What do you play through? Any pedal boards or effects? That kind of thing.
Yep. So the cab I'm running right now is just your basic orange 2x2. Uh,
Hmm.
my old rig setup. It was a old. Oh my god! It was an old Yorkville from. Geez, I don't even know how old that thing was. I got a Guitar Center for $200. Funny story. When I first started playing bass, the first thing we ever used was speakers. Was using regular speakers that we just directly plugged into just to get some sort of a bass on. We're going back many, many years ago. We've upgraded a bit since then. So for my head, I'm using a Trainor head. The
Hmm.
reason why, and this is all methodical, we thought of it. So uh, myself and my two guitar players, Andrew and Nick, we've done a really good job working with the three of us as the rhythm section, the rhythm guitar section of
Right.
lining up with all of our heads and such. So the reason we went for the head, I took notes. I wanted to make sure I'm saying this correct. Was the reason why it's partially tubed, and the reason why we
Hmm.
do that is for a warmer sound. So while I was telling you earlier with the attack of how to come in, it kicks in, it cuts through the mix a little bit warmer, a little bit more vicious,
Hmm.
which is kind of the intended live sound we're going for. Uh, and then that's for my head. For my pedals, pretty standard stuff. I got a pretty basic, but the sort of glass tube heads, glass tube pedals. Excuse me.
Hmm.
I also have a preamp pedal. We call that for the dirts. kind of want to try to go for in the studio. There's a couple of songs, so we kind of click that in with some bass breakdown intros and stuff like that to make it sound more dirty, make it sound more audible in the mix and stuff like that. Live is pretty much the same thing. Jesus, there's sometimes I leave it on by accident, and I'm like, wow, I sound really good tonight. My guitar players, they're like, dude, because you have your pedals on, like you're drowning us out. I was like, is that a bad thing? It was like, but there's some old rigs that I've used. I've used old a Mesa head that was really nice. That was all just dirt cheap stuff that I found from Guitar Center. Our two guitar players worked there previously, so they would text me, Jesus, every other week. Hey man, they got this really cheap pedal system. He's got to come on down. And I'm doing my work with my day job. I'm like, fuck it, just buy it for me. I'll literally just wire them hundreds of dollars. Like, okay, go for it. Who knows what they're doing with it? They could be buying alcohol or food or like, who the hell knows? I'm just trusting their instincts. Like, yeah, just get it taken care of and stuff like that. But no, I have a really good setup right now. I'm actually looking at it in my music room right now. Kicks ass live. We usually backline a lot of our shows. Even when we're not headlining, we always say, like, we volunteer, we'll bring our stuff. And all the local guys love it because they know it's going to work and it's high quality and it's not good. Again, nothing against any of the other guys. Our shit works. And we make sure that it works. And it's been battle tested. There's scars on it. Stains that I don't even know where it even came from. Don't want to know probably. But it definitely works. And I'm pretty satisfied with it right now. I do have plans of adding in some other type of pedals for their next work coming up and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much a gig for right now.
Cool. So do you have any personal preference between 4 and 5 string or even higher string count basses?
So that's a funny conversation that we actually just did a podcast with another local bass player in our area just this past Friday. And he plays a 6-string bass. He's in a tech death band. And I don't say argument. We had a productive conversation off camera between 4 strings and 5 and 6 strings. So I'm a 4-string guy. Nothing against 5 or 6 or whatever else. I just feel the most comfortable with it. I do have a 5-string for some of the lower tuning songs that we're going to start probably incorporating for live. Just because it's a 5-string Ibanez, just so you know. Just because it's just easier, just stuff trying to down tune everything and getting everything set, live and such. It just quickly, just 1 second, boop, boop, click, go, stuff like that. I got, I think, 7 total basses total, which is quite a lot. I probably should start selling some of them because some of those I haven't used in a long time. But so just to answer your question, so with like the basses and stuff like that, like with 4 and 5 strings, I prefer to use 4-string P basses, precision basses. I do have some Sterlings that I use. The one really cool, I used to be a Schecter bass player. That was my first bass I ever purchased. That was 7 years ago before I went over to P bass. Again, just warmer, more higher attack, just more cuts in through the sort of sound and stuff like that. The one cool bass I do have that's different from anything else is a Jaguar. We call it the modified Jaguar. So I bought that off of a local buddy of ours a few years ago. That's on the record, and it's got a modified neck. So it's the action is just a little kind of tilted a little bit, gives it more of I call a kind of a crunchier sound, maybe even grungier. That bass was recorded for the song "I Am Providence." I intentionally spent money on one bass for one song only because it wouldn't work for any other songs that we have. So that's probably the coolest bass I would say for right now. I will have in that sort of deal. But 4-string all the way. I'm a 4-string guy. Nothing against 5 strings. I plan to start using some of them. 6 or 7's getting a little too advanced for my caveman brain over here, as we like to say. We play caveman music. Riff big, strong, good, stuff like that. And that's probably the way we're going to be sticking to it for right now.
Yeah. I've got a 4-string Dean that was my first bass, and then since then I've actually picked up a 5-string Ibanez, and I just personally love the way Ibanez guitars play in general, and that thing is so surprisingly light. I
Yes.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
They're a lot lighter than you think.
yeah,
Yeah, there's some bases, and we'll probably go more into some more questions we got coming up.
right.
But they're very lightweight. It's just with the precision base, it's
Oh
big.
yeah,
It gets the job done. You know what you're looking at, and you're gonna hear it, and you're like, fuck yes, that sounds good. And that's
yeah.
all we need from my end. So
Absolutely.
mm,
But yeah, I've also got a Fender acoustic bass that I got just to
nice.
have options, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Not
so
to play too many acoustic songs here yet. Maybe in the
yeah,
future, but for right now, we're gonna keep it metal.
right, right. So you talked a little bit about this, but musicians tend to collect gear,
Mhm.
and you mentioned a couple of the unique things you have in your arsenal. Is there anything else unique or unusual that you have in your collection you'd like to speak on?
There's just I'm just trying to think. We have some old Sterling basses that are hanging around. One's my guitarist. He was a
Hmm.
bass player for another band that we kind of mess around with. But pretty much what I kind of have right now, that modified Jag's really cool. It's got some custom pickups in there that we just never touched, and I preferably probably for now I'm talking about. I kind of want to play for our next show coming up. It's just to
Yeah,
get the reaction out of the guys. Like, oh my god, you brought the Jag back, and I was like, yeah, I kind of feeling the Jag for tonight. How we play live, because my guitar players have like probably 10 guitars themselves. We just pick and choose what we're feeling our night. And like you were saying about musicians, there's nights that where you're looking at your arsenal, your line, you're like, that's the guy I want tonight. It may not
yeah,
fit what you're going for, but it's just a feeling that sounds well. It's like our drummer wanted to change heads, even though he just changed his heads 2 shows ago. He's like, I need to change him again because he feels like he needs to get that certain sound. Um,
gotcha.
yeah, that's the definitely way I would say for that.
Gotcha. Well, that was really a perfect segue to my next question. And I always ask this, really, it's just more of a funny thing than anything else. But how often do you change strings?
So I would probably change strings probably every couple of months.
Hmm.
And that's we average about a show a month, hopefully more.
Hmm.
Please book us if whoever's watching. Uh, but I would say about every 2 months, give or take. I've trained myself enough to start noticing when I'm playing
Hmm.
live, where I'm like, okay, the C string starting to get fuzzy. I can start to figuring that sort of deal on stuff like that. I know guys that change strings after every performance. God bless them. I don't have the patience for it, or at the time, or I'm a very
Yeah,
impatient. Up here in New England, we all have ADHD, so we're all running around doing crazy stuff and losing our minds every day. So we tend to probably. I've been getting a lot better with it. Jesus, there was a time when I first started playing. I think I didn't change out my old Schecter bass strings for like like a year. And my buddies are, my guitar players are looking at me. It shows my inexperience at the time. They're all looking at me. It's like, Zach, you hear that? What do you mean? Boom. Oh, what's wrong? I'm like checking the gauges. I was like, no, it's your strings, dude. It's hanging on by a thread. I was like, oh shit, okay. So I've learned how to change my strings and how to tune and everything like that. It's like riding a bike. You just figure it out pretty quick. But I'll say
right.
every couple of months or so, give or take, depending on
Gotcha.
how hard I'm playing and stuff like that.
Right, right. But the reason I consider it a funny question is bass strings are not cheap,
No,
and
they're not.
and
No.
you practically have to take out a second mortgage to restring your bass. I mean,
Yeah, and that's why I tell the guys all the time. It's like, Jesus, this is a lot of money. It's like, well, we got to get good sounds. Like, yeah, I know, but we can hold out for one more show. Come on, we nudge nudge. So yes, they
yeah,
are considerably, and it's funny because you never think about that because there's only
right,
four for me,
yeah,
compared to 6 for a basic guitar. And they're like, oh, it should be cheaper. It's like, no, there's more string. That's why it's a bass
yeah,
because it's thicker and
yeah,
stronger. That's the whole point of being the bass, low end. So
right.
yes, you're right. They're not cheap. It gets
No,
expensive quick when I restring all my bass guitars. Trust me, it does.
yep, yep, yep. So, so Zach, who are some of your personal musical influences?
So this is funny. So I am the boomer of the group. And I love 80s thrash. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm your big you're also your big four: Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax. but even better, like Testament, Exodus, Violence, just Forbidden, like these really these deep cuts. And all my buddies was like, bro, that stuff was from 1986. I was like, and it's fucking awesome, right? Like, this is so cool. And even on my Spotify list, I mean, there's stuff I'm still finding, just old school 80s thrash metal band, the Bay Area scene and stuff like that.
Right.
Sepultura is like a newer one. They're from Brazil, but it's a newer one from the 80s again. But they call me the boomer of the group because when I do a lot of my writing, contribute to the band, I go
Hmm.
look to those records. And it's completely different from what we do, but the idea is still the same. It's all the rhythm
Right.
underneath. And of just how do I lock in with the drums here? What do they do with this part here? Do I do a little pull off here and stuff like that? And they absolutely laugh at me for that sort of deal. On the flip side, huge Alice in Chains fan. I grew up on that with my mother. She loved the alternative stuff, Soundgarden,
Hmm.
but just the melody, just that bluesy sort of stuff that Jerry Cantrell did with Mike Guinness, the bass player underneath. Jesus, their Jar of Flies EP that they put out in '94, just all that stuff I was hearing, I was like, wow, what's that stuff? It's like, that's bass, bro. I'm like, what?
Hmm.
And just listen to it, I'm like, holy shit, it is. And it's now, don't get me wrong, I still listen to a lot of the newer stuff and a lot of the hardcore stuff, metal stuff nowadays, but I've always gravitated towards just the older school sort of stuff. I get made fun of all the time, and oh man, the gray hairs and everything. I'm like, I don't trust me. This is how I rock out, baby. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to pop over to the Instagram tab and see if anybody's saying anything over there. Nope. Looks like we've got a few folks from your band. Looks like
oh,
Ham Cravings is
that's Nick. That's our guitar player.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's over there, and a few other folks. But anyway, so what was the very first concert you ever attended as a fan?
Okay, so I live right now in North Providence, Rhode Island. But
Okay.
back in high school, I live in Taunton, Massachusetts, probably about 45 minutes from here. There was an old local venue called Bandstand. It's still there today. They haven't done live shows since I was in high school. It's still a practice facility and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
There was a show. I was 14 years old, and I
Hmm.
saw a local band called Diecast. And if you go look them up and stuff, they're huge for the local scene there. That was my first, I call local show that I went
Gotcha.
to. My first major show, which is hilarious to think about, was seeing Metallica in 2009. I went up to TD Garden up in Boston. That's where the Celtics and the Bruins play. And I took the transit up there with my brother and I. We were both, I was 17, he was 15. And
Hmm.
I worked at McDonald's, spent all my money to get like seventh row seats from the front.
Oh wow.
Oh my, yeah, just for a 17-year-old kid, and he was 50 at the time. And I'll never forget this. My brother could collaborate on this too. So we're watching. It was a Sword, Machine Head, and Metallica, and we're having a great time. We've had these couple of buddies, probably in their 40s at the time, maybe giving us a couple of beers on the reach, but don't worry about it. It's all good. It all worked out. All I remember from that show was, the song One. Everyone knows
Yeah.
One, from
Yeah.
Metallica. Everyone does. The big tapping solo part.
Hmm.
And how Metallica used to do it, they used to walk around the stage. They had a big circular stage, and they will all walk around and such. So Kurt Hammett, the lead guitar player from Metallica, we're watching them play, the fast part, and I'm like, Trev, my brother's name is Trevor. It's like, Trev, Kurt's going to play the solo in front of us. He's like, no, he's not. And sure enough, he sets up for it, and he just starts all that sort of stuff. We both are like, we're going to do that. Maybe not guitar. We just want to be on stage and just have fun and do everything like that. That was probably the moment right there that I was like, I'm going to try to make this music thing work by any means necessary. That's a core memory, man. That's still burned into my mind. I go see Metallica at Gillette Stadium this August, and I've already told all my buddies, like, listen, this is my weekend. Fuck off. I don't want to hear anything about the roads. Like, fuck off. If you don't want to come, don't come. This is my weekend to have 30, Coors Lights and just see James Hetfield and all those guys just kick ass. That's all I want from them. So,
I get it. I get it. So, away from music, actually, before we leave this section,
Mhm.
over the course of your musical career, have you had a chance to meet any of your musical heroes?
Not particularly. I'm just trying to think. The coolest thing we've done so for like a big band was we opened, not opened. We played a festival in Providence back in 2019, where
Hmm.
Static X was the headliner,
Oh,
and
nice.
so and my guitar player Nick loves Static X. I like Static X too, but he loves them. That was like one of his big reasons to get into guitar. We actually met very quickly for maybe 10, 15 seconds. Met the guitar player Koji. He's Japanese. Uh, Not sure if he knows English well or not, but we said, "Hey, how you doing?" Shook his hand, and he said, "Oh, good luck tonight. I'll be watching," and stuff like that. And sure enough, during our set, we saw him in the corner, off like off screen as we're playing, bobbing his head and just smiling. And I was like, "Holy shit!" Like the guitar player from Static X like watched our set. So that's probably
Yeah.
the coolest thing so far. We have met a local hero and stuff like that.
Very cool. Very cool. So Zach, away from music, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
So this is a good one. So I went to college for meteorology. I'm
So
a,
you're a weatherman.
Yes, sir. So I actually, geez, if I had photos, I'll pull them up. I had aspirations to be a broadcaster at one point, and I
Hmm.
still love it to this day. Still love oh my God, my buddies will literally be at a bar or at a show, and how like they'll have the TV, playing some sports or whatever in the background. And sometimes I have like the local news, real quick answers. They'll put the weather
Hmm.
on. I'll literally be having a beer talk and see it, stop and watching for the 2 minutes, just seeing what's going on with the weather and the cold fronts and the warm fronts and the dew points, and they're all like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I was like, "The weather, man. We got to figure out what's going on here and stuff like that." And it's funny because they'll call me all the time for weather updates. They shit on me
Hmm.
for it, but they'll call me all the time. "Hey man, we're trying to do a big old cookout in a week. What are you thinking?" I'm like, I'm not sure. You got pop-up thunderstorms happening here because of the upper level divergence with the cold air with the upper level loft. And they're like, "Zach, say it to us in we call caveman voice. Caveman, make it simple. It's gonna rain, stuff like that." Uh, but so I originally went to school for that. Uh, Became a construction management afterwards. So I'm actually I'm actually in a position of power for my construction company, which is wild with all the long hair and the beard and the nose ring and all sort of that. And it's funny, they're all like, "So you're in a band?" I was like, "Yep." And they're like, "So you think you're responsible enough to do this?" I was like, "Well, I bought the house I'm in right now doing it. You guys have paid me a lot of money, so I guess so, if that's the case. And can you pass a drug test?" I was like, "Joke's on you. Yes, I can. Can you pass a drug test?" Is the question. And that's where they usually shut up from there. So, but no, definitely, weather is a big one. Football. I'm wearing my Patriots hat. You probably see some Patriots logos. Up
Hmm.
here in New England, we're big football fans.
Oh
You
yeah.
say you're from Atlanta,
Yeah.
which is
Still licking our wounds after that. So
yes, yeah.
that comeback.
I won't bring it up. I won't bring it up. But here's what's funny about that, Matt. My mother, so she lives in Colorado with her
Hmm.
husband, my stepfather. He went to Georgia, so
Oh, okay.
he's a Georgia Bulldog. And I learned down in Atlanta, or just I think because the college is somewhere in Atlanta, right? Georgia University, or
It's a good probably hour and a half east
okay.
of Atlanta.
Okay,
Actually, where we live, we're about halfway between Atlanta and Athens, where
Athens.
the university is. So,
Yes. So he's a man. I didn't realize how crazy college football is down there for you
oh
guys.
yeah.
It's very tiny up here, but BC Boston College is well, they suck. I guess back when I was in high school, they were pretty good with Matt Ryan. Oh, go figure, Matt Ryan with the
Yeah.
Falcons. But for college football, holy shit! My stepdad, and he's lived in Colorado, Southern gentleman, as I always say. Jesus, he's worse than me when I watch the Patriots. The swearing and the hats flying. I'm like, I like you. I like you a lot. You and I, we can bond really good on that. But so big football.
He's your people.
Yes, and it's so funny because he's so not used to how I talk and how crazy everything is, and the hands, as you can see, that's just how we are. But when it comes to football, man, we could sit down and have a few beers and just talk chatter the whole time. So, but outside of that, like video games, big online sort of guy, and the big thing to do is just try to check out local shows. That's a lot of things. I just love being around the music. So I would say that's probably one of the big thing. And my cat, Liv, who's mowing at me right now. So
Gotcha. Yeah. It's funny. I've got a master's degree in emergency management, and I remember when I was doing that, one of the units that we went through was disaster meteorology, and that was just fascinating.
No kidding. That would be cool.
Looking at meteorology from a disaster perspective, which is really cool. But
and it's so interesting too, because when I was going into high school, it's been 2005, Katrina down in New Orleans.
Oh,
and it's kind of meteorologists are just like metalheads. We're a little maniacal, a little fucked up, where we're seeing this giant category. And you're from Georgia. You guys kind of get the hurricane, the severe weather and such.
Yeah.
But we're just watching this beautiful Category 5 hurricane. And we're like, wow, this is really it's like watching the snow up here. It's just amazing to watch. And we're seeing it, going towards whatever in New Orleans, like, oh shit, that's not good, and it's you kind of have to. It's just weird. And my buddies are like, they always ask, like, how can you just watch all this crazy stuff? Because nature's incredible, man. Can you believe this little low pressure system can become this giant hurricane, and even with tornadoes and don't. I'm not. I'll just leave it there. I can go all night talking about weather as well. So.
Oh yeah. There's a storm chaser named Reed Timmer who he streams a lot of his storm chases on YouTube. And and I mean, he'll basically intercept a tornado, and he'll get out of his vehicle and be standing there looking at this thing approaching and going, "It's beautiful, man." And his buddies are like, "Reed, get back in the truck. We gotta go."
One of my vacations I will hopefully want to do in the next couple of years, and my buddies think you're absolutely out of your mind, is I want to do a vacationing out in Tornado Alley, out in Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma City, and just do storm chasing. They actually do that. They're actually people they'll take you in, for pretty cheap. Actually, I looked into it. It's actually not as expensive as I thought. And you just kind of hop in with them, and you just come along for the ride. And shit, they'll even use it to start, especially with my background. Say, all right, cool. You just track the barometer and just see where the pressure drops. I'm like, cool, no problem. So I know some people go to Disney, some people go storm chasing. That's how it works around here. So
whatever rings your bell.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So what we're going to do now, we're going to sort of shift gears and start talking more about the band, the Mighty Fall. And what I always like to do, like I was telling you beforehand, is I like to play about the first minute of one of the band's songs, just to give people that aren't familiar kind of a taste. And like I was telling you, I have just been grooving on Black Blanket. I just love the riff on this. So I'm going to share my screen and play about the first minute or so of that, just to give people a taste here.
Take their toll, a reflection.
And we're back. Yeah, I just like I said, I've just been really grooving on that song all week. So, tell me a little bit about the Mighty Fall. How long have you guys been together? How did the band form? Where did the name come from? Stuff like that.
All good stories. All right. So I want to make sure I get this correct now. So when we first formed, I'm an original member of the Mighty Phone name. Our guitar player Andrew and our drummer also Zach. So I'm Zach R. He's Zach C. We have other nicknames. We'll leave that between us. They were in a band with our old vocalist at the time, and that conversation I was saying earlier when I got invited to be in the band, we were under a different name. Our original name was called Behind the Silence, and that name, I wasn't part of that. You have to ask those guys where that name came from. January 1st, it was New Year's Eve of going into 2018. We made a decision to change our name to the Mighty Fall. So the way we got the name was we all wanted to get a new name. We all brought a list of names, between the four of us at the time. Nick came in last. Nick came in around April of 2018. We all just had a list of names, and we all just started, just kind of voting, kind of doing a Survivor style. Do we like this name? Yay, no, yay, okay, get it out. We had probably like 50 of them. We got down to 4. And our drummer Zach C, he came up with the name of the Mighty Fall. So how he got the name, I thought, oh, that sounds kind of cool, kind of an underdog sort of thing, stick it to the man, whatnot. He got it from a video game. Just a video game he was just playing. And now that every time I think about it, I'm like, this kid got our name from a video game. Just I think it was like a quest of some sort. Just a name,
Mm-hmm.
no like crazy, stuff like that. But that kind of fits our MO. It's screw it. It sounds good. We're gonna keep it and stuff like that. But yeah, but I've known Andrew, the guitar player. He wears glasses. I've known him
Mm-hmm.
since we were kids.
Oh, nice.
He's my best friend's cousin. That I was telling you earlier about the drum set while I was
Yeah.
playing. So he saw me play when I was, he was 10 and I was 12. And he'd always been in the music scene here in the Providence area. And he met Zach through his fiance's best friend. Go figure, we're down. We're all, everyone knows everyone. And then obviously through me, and then we had our ex-vocalist who he was best friends with. And then Zach C brought in Nick. Nick was living in New Jersey at the time. He was a promoter. And he wanted to do something new. And he's from Warwick, Rhode Island, which is, 50, the saying in Rhode Island, everyone's 20 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, he was like, yeah, he's pretty good. And I remember meeting Nick. And we're, this is Christmas of 2017, Christmas week. So we're all jamming out, blah, 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 blah. And, we're kind of doing it's like on the first date. You're just doing the feeling out process. Like, is this cool? Cool? Is he not cool? So we stopped playing about 20 minutes. And he's like, so does anyone like Pantera? And I love Pantera. I was like, oh, yes, I do. And we just started jamming like 4 songs right then and there. And he was like, so who likes Narragansett beer? I was like, yes, I love it. Okay, he's my new best friend. We're all set from there. So the core of the band, the rhythm section in the band has been together since early 2018. Our old vocalist, our ex-vocalist, he left during the pandemic in 2020, and we got Mike, which is you guys was hearing on our record. When did he commit? I think late 2021, somewhere around that time, and it's been the 5 of us ever since then. But the 4 of us in the rhythm section, I love Mike, don't get me wrong, Mike's the man. But the 4 of us, we formed a really strong bond for the last, been 7 years now at this point. We hang out, we drink beers, play the same video games and stuff like that. Our big thing in our band is we're friends first. Business is business, but we're friends first. And if there's something that, we can't do the music thing anymore, that's not going to affect how we treat each other as people and stuff like that.
Right.
That's a big motto we still stick to this day, and we still mean.
And that's how it should be.
Exactly. Yeah.
But something funny and random just occurred to me. The old name Behind the Silence You could have kept that and been, BTS, but you would have had the Koreans coming after you for copyright infringement.
So, and the other reason too, with the new name, TMF, with the Mighty Fall, so our initials are TMF, and
Yeah.
we're making jokes,
Oh
oh,
yeah, I'm
we're Korean.
sure.
And so our fans sometimes call themselves the motherfuckers, TMF.
Hmm.
And we're like, sounds good to us. That wasn't the intended way, but usually how those things go, the fans always make something fun out of it. So,
Right, right.
mhm.
So, do you play in any other side projects or any other bands, or are you pretty much the Mighty Fall?
For me, it's just the Mighty Fall. The other
Hmm.
guys have some side commitments that we have no issues with whatsoever.
Right.
Uh, Maybe in the future, I work a lot for my day job, which I think we'll
Hmm.
probably get to at some point,
Yeah.
and that takes a lot of my time, which I have no problem with. Pays the bills. That's a good thing for me
Right.
too. Uh,
Yep.
Maybe eventually at some point. Honestly, if I were to actually join another band, it would be a tribute band, probably
Yeah.
Metallica.
Gotcha.
That would probably be the main thing. Not that I have other artists. I get a lot of my artistic expression out within these guys right now, which is a big thing for me.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So, as we've kind of touched on somewhat already, the um, bass players and drummers and to some extent the rhythm guitar as well are sort of in a partnership as the rhythm section for the band.
Mhm.
You know, tell me a little more about your relationship with the drummer and the Mighty Fall. What do you guys do to kind of lock in with each other? Any funny stories about that?
So our our drummer is that I love him to death. He's very quiet. So and that's so it's funny. You have the drummer who's very very quiet, and the bass player. I'm the loud one in the group. I accept that. That's my role. Very happy with that role. I tend to do the most on stage antics and such. He's behind the drum set, and I
Hmm.
understand him because I was a drummer first, so I get it. I totally understand of you're kind of hidden behind the cymbals and your rack toms and stuff like that. Uh, we do more of how we usually do it is he comes up with the drum part. So when we write a song, we
Hmm.
in pro we do demo tracks online and stuff. We'll have the basis of a drum part, just the basis for it. We'll let him explore, oh, we'll do this on a downbeat instead of an upbeat, or he could do a fill here and whatever. So for me, when I watch him, there's shows, and again, my bandmates can verify. I'm watching him, like my back's turned sometimes to the crowd,
Hmm.
watching him, like getting it down, and he's like, "Why are you looking at me like that? Because I'm locking in with you." He was like, "Oh, thanks, appreciate it." And that's probably the most words I'll hear out of him all night. Um, but how we construct songs with our rhythm, you were saying with our rhythm guitar player, we kind of lock everything in. Demo wise, and then present it to the rest of the group. And we kind of make little alterations, little pieces, adjustments as needed, and stuff like that. I mean, there's stuff that he'll play. Shit, we was recording, filmed on location, and he did his drum parts recorded at another site in Rhode Island. And was when I heard it, I was like, because we were at the Reddit, I was like, "Oh shit!" Nick and Andrew was like, "Maybe we could just do a little couple of things, like literally, like we're recording, like and everything like that." And I'll put a little alteration here just to lock up with the little drum fill or a couple of double kicks here and there and stuff like that. It's the little things like that I think goes a long way for adding some dynamic to the band and stuff like that.
Got you.
Mhm.
Got you. So, regarding the songwriting process within the band, we've already talked on it somewhat. It sounds like it's a pretty collaborative thing rather than there being a primary writer in the band.
Correct. So how we usually write songs, especially with our new record coming up, even with film on location. Andrew and Nick are two guitar players. They are the backbone. They'll come up with the
Mhm.
main riffs. Uh, then we call it presenting it to the class. And me especially, I've always been really good at composition of
Mhm.
arrangements, even. I don't know how. I guess they said I'm really good at it. I don't know. I guess I got the ear for it. And there's been many times where they've brought in songs and riffs in one way. I'm like, cool. double that part, flip this part, half time that, put that at the end, and do this. And and that takes like 2 minutes to explain. And they're all like, how the hell would you figure that out? I was like, just do it. It sounds good. And 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, it worked out. And they were like, holy shit. And I didn't even see the riff, didn't even have any notice or anything like that. Uh, very collaborative. And then with the drums, like I said, we kind of program them. Our drummer then comes in, takes a look at them, probably keeps about 80 to 80% of it right then and there, and he'll add his little spin to it. We'll literally do a drum fill, and he's like, "You want me to play that?" I was like, "No, we just put that as a thing, just to fill out the song." And then with our vocalist, he waits for us to finish up. We literally give him the finished product. Here you go. Make some vocals out of it. I cannot do vocals for the life of me. So whatever he does, I'm like, rock and roll, brother. Sounds good. I do know Nick actually written the lyrics to the last record because that was done before Mike came in. But for this one coming up, we really want Mike to put his own spin on it. And
Right.
he's always asked us like, you're more welcome to chip in, and we will. But we're like, nah, man, this is now your baby. Let's make it how you want to do it. So we're really excited of how the next record come out in that regard. But for the
Right.
recorded part, how we're doing it right now for our next record, still the same idea. The three of us just get into a room at this point almost every week, even a couple times a week, and just start pounding out the songs because we want to start getting some new stuff coming out soon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listening to Filmed on Location,
Mm-hmm.
it appears to kind of be a concept album to some extent. Yeah.
Yes, correct. You kind of have to talk to Nick about that, of his whole way. How was the way he was describing it? And it's funny because I remember just reading the lyrics, and there's a lot of lyrics. I think
Oh yeah.
I think for the next one we're going to try to tone it down just a little bit. Nothing against Nick or anything, but because I do some backing vocals both on the record and live, and sometimes I'm like, just give me this really quick 2-second part, please, for God's sakes. Just makes it easier for him. But the concept, a lot of the songs, and we talked about on our podcast, there's a
Mm-hmm.
concept to it of having, it's like going to a movie theater and showing a presentation of this movie. That's why I have the intro, the intermission, closing credits, stuff like that. Each song has a theme to it, though.
Right.
I'm just trying to remember. Black Blanket was, how did he describe it? Nick, he was sick and he had to take Benadryl. He was sleeping, and so
Mm-hmm.
you see the Hat Man in his dreams,
Yeah.
and he called that's where Black Blanket came from. Let the Right One Win. Let the Right One In was based on this movie from Sweden. He's a huge horror fan that he saw in 2003 and stuff like that. I Am Providence is pretty straightforward. We are Providence, and
Right.
we're down for a good time. There's a lot of really, what's funny? I really like reading the lyrics a lot more, and I'm like, shit, there's some really interesting shit that he's really getting into that you would never think about in a metal or hardcore band and stuff like
Right.
that. I dare our listeners to kind of, repeat the album and really focus on the lyrics and even write them down. We have it, in our CDs. If you bought one, you could find the spread inside. But it's really interesting of his presentation of that sort of deal. But yes, the idea is a concept album. That's
Yeah.
what Nick was going for. You got it. So good job right
Yeah.
there.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Lyrics to me are very important.
Mhm.
I mean, I love just the general sound of music, but to me, it has to have a message. you
I
know.
agree. Yes.
So
Yes. Yeah.
so,
I agree.
but so tell me a bit about your day job.
So we just touched on that. So
Yeah.
I work in construction management. So I have we call a big boy job.
Hmm.
And I work up in the Boston area. I work as a contractor, and I am your safety guy. So I'm the one.
Nice.
I am the a-hole that tells you to wear PPE and do all the permits and all that sort of stuff and everything like that. Um, it's fun. It's construction's fun. You got a lot of fun guys and gals in there. Um, they get a kick out of me because I'm not
Hmm.
your typical looking management figure. Again, the long hair and the beard and all this other stuff going on, tattoos and everything. Well, I guess tattoos is pretty similar, but anyhow, they call me Rockstar on site. That's my nickname because they know I'm in a
Nice.
band and they heard some of my stuff and they're like, "Oh, so you're a musician, son?" Yeah, I start chopping on a cigar. I'm like, trying to be and such, and they're like, "Does that pay well?" I was like, "Not yet. Hopefully, it will later on." I'm not quitting the day job yet, so I got to pay the mortgage in here somehow.
Yep.
But yeah, so just construction, management, and it's funny too because when I have coworkers that come to our shows, I tell them first thing, I was like, listen, we're not working. So what you see here is not, I'm on my different job. I have two jobs. I have my day job, I have my night job. This, the night job is what we're doing now. When we're
Right.
doing the night job, it's completely different set of rules.
Yep.
Just keep that in mind. And but for trust my boss has seen some of my music stuff and some of the reels and our music video, and he just gets a kick out of it and stuff like that. He said, "Oh, those damn kids are having fun again." So,
Yep. So, if you can narrow it down to one or two little anecdotes, what have been some of the most interesting experiences you've had playing live?
geez, gotta narrow it down. So for me, it is the best feeling in the world. And I went to college. I had a lot of fun. We'll leave it at that. But there's no other feeling being on stage and getting that rush of adrenaline every time. I still get nervous. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I still get nervous for a show. I still do. And you know what's funny? I think the best I've ever played was when I was scared or nervous. No, scared is different. Scared was probably my first show ever. Now I'm pretty battle tested, but even still, is the we are artists at the end of the day, and people paid money to come see us or go see the show or whatever. There's an obligation there to provide. If it's one person, if it's 100, if it's 10,000, we have an obligation to provide that person or persons there that night or day or whatever we are their money's worth. Because that's the same thing I would do for going to any other show. It's like I paid hard-earned money, especially in this economy, as we all know, and the fact that anyone would take the time, and our time as we get older gets just always seems to shrink. Take their time to come see us. We're going to give you a damn good show to the best of our ability, and even if it's not your style of music, we're still going to do the best that we can. It's just fun. That's fun.
Yep.
That's just the best way. I have so much fun up there. That's the best way I can explain it.
People will be talking about you guys afterward. Yeah,
I hope so. That's our goal, and we don't do that just to, not to piss anyone off or to one up other people, but we just want to show that we having a good time up there. And there's been bands I've seen, and this is going back many even years ago to when I was a kid, where you can see where they're phoning it in. And
going through the motions.
And and we've seen some bands do that, local and professional. Trust me, I've seen some professional shows that were be like, oh Jesus, that's not good. We don't ever want to do that. When we start doing that, that's when we're done. And we're phoning in. That means we're not having fun. If we're not having fun, then why are we doing this? Because we spent a lot of time and money and bad backs and bad necks and scars and all that stuff doing this. Like, if we're not having fun doing it, then why are we doing it? And if we're having fun, 95% of the time, the crowd out there is going to have fun. And if they have fun, they bring up, it's just that back and forth motion. And once you get that, that's a magical night. And we've had quite a few of those. The music video for Iron Province was awesome. Just the crowd was absolutely feeling it. We needed that show. We needed a really good back and forth interaction like that. That's a big deal for us. And that's probably our motto till we're done doing this.
That's awesome. That is really, really cool. So, before you guys go on, do you and the boys have any pre-show traditions or any things that you try to do on a I guess on a regular basis? using a sports metaphor, a lot of like basketball players will unlace their shoes and
Yeah.
relace them before they go out for a game. Do you guys do anything consistently before you go on?
Yes, we do. Very
Okay.
simple. Shot tequila. Oh, but there's something specific. It's got to be the worst, shittiest house tequila they have at the bar. None of the high end. I got some pretty good stuff back here in my bar right now, but like that bottom barrel, that's been sitting there for years. Give that. We want all of that. And the
The
reason
cheap,
why,
the
yes,
cheap scraped off the floor.
exactly. And the reason why is when we first, because we take it literally 10 minutes when we go on stage. So the
Mhm.
thought process is the first 10 minutes of the set, you feel like absolute shit. You're like, ah, you get the, powering through. And the last half hour or whatever other time it is, it's just awesome. Now, we could have sucked, but we don't know because having a great time up there.
Right.
That's always still something we've always done. Some of the guys will switch over to whiskey because, tequila could be a little too much fun for them. But that's still something I still do. My ritual, and I get stage fright, surprisingly enough. I'll actually do probably 2 Jack and Cokes and a shot of tequila before I go on stage. Just enough of I'm a big guy, so enough of a little bit of a buzz to be like, okay, I'm ready to go and stuff like that. Because, like I said, when you're on stage, you're kind of, you're you, but there's a kind of a persona that's going on and stuff like that. And like I said, people pay money to see. They didn't see Zach, the construction management guy. They pay to see Zach, the bassman for the Mighty Fall up there.
Right.
Mhm.
So, not to, obviously this is in no way intended to put any other places down,
Mhm.
but do you have a favorite venue that's really special to you guys that you really like to play at?
I'm just thinking. Probably Alchemy has to be. Yeah, probably Alchemy, downtown Providence. The old Alchemy, this was pre-COVID, used to be by the Performing Arts Center. It was on the second floor. Oh, what a pain in the ass it was hauling up our gear
Oh,
up
no
and down.
doubt.
And we played our first shows there. Oh my God, when we were just starting out back in 2018, 2019, we were playing these Friday night matinee shows. So we were the first band playing 6 p.m. on Fridays. And we
Ooh.
would, oh yeah, and we would literally be the only ones. The only ones we're performing to was the other bands, their significant others, and the bartender. And the bartender loved us because before we went on set, we're just pounding down drinks. All right, let's go, rah, blah 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 blah. And they're all like, "What the?" They're all, like, "There's no one here." You know what I mean? When they, after COVID, Alclin moved to a newer venue that's about a mile away. That's kind of been our home base ever since, for
Gotcha.
playing shows. But we played other shows. We played in New York. We played in Connecticut, Massachusetts. We're trying to play a show up in New Hampshire for the first time. Nick has friends because he lived in New Jersey, down in Jersey and Pennsylvania. We're really trying to start spreading our wings more to I hate to say national, it's still the East Coast for all of us. Geez, we have buddies, we have people from Montreal, Canada that came to come see us. And they're like, oh,
Wow.
we'd love for you to come. Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'd love for you to come to Montreal. We're like, what? Sure. Whatever works out sounds great. But Providence has always been, I have it tattooed on me. It's our home. We love our state, our little state up here in New England. And we still hold true to that.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So, tell me a little bit about the music scene in Providence. Is it pretty thriving or?
Yes, it is. So we have I've been, it's really funny you brought that up because my brother, I was telling you earlier, so he also plays bass. So he
Mhm.
plays bass for a alternative band, and I love it. He's a way better bass player than I am. I'll give him all the flowers in the world right now. But his music scene is just smaller than ours, and I feel so bad because they're so cool and so awesome and stuff like that. But for our scene, we're thriving. We have bands left to right popping up. Uh, we have we're actually playing a show coming up. Little shout out, we're playing Saturday, July 6th at Hills Tavern in Smithfield, Rhode Island. We're headlining the show. We have 14 bands playing with us, and we probably know about, trying to think, 10 of those bands. Like, we're friends with all those guys, and we're going to meet
Nice.
some new people and stuff like that. We have a really great scene up here, and it's the last few years, especially post COVID, it's really started to become really thriving and really articulate. There's some really cool bands out here uh, that play some really cool, heavy, intricate sort of stuff. We're a little different of how we present ourselves, but I love going to local shows and just seeing, a tech death band and then a rap metal band here. It's getting a lot of variety and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And the same we always say, a rising tide raises all ships. So if
Absolutely.
all of us thrive, I hate the competition thing. It's got a lot better. Back then, it was pretty bad. If you ask my opinion, but
Hmm.
now I think it's a lot more collaborative of us just trying to put on the best show within our genre of music and styles and such. And there's no, it's a competition, a healthy competition, because you want to, try to steal the show, as we say every night. And that's only going to make more people shit. We got to go see these guys again and bring their friends and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's been thriving here. It's been really, really good. It's been awesome.
Oh yeah. Well,
Hmm.
that sort of makes me think. We were mentioning before we went on the air that we're both wrestling fans,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's kind of like the people. The two guys that have the first match of the show,
Mhm.
they go out there, do their thing, and then they come back to Gorilla, and
Yep.
they're like beat that.
Yes.
And then yeah,
Yes. And
yeah.
and even with us headlining shows, we're still like that. Uh, I would dare say, and I don't want to toot, but I mean, we've been told this, so I guess it's true. There are some bands that get a little nervous that if they see us before them, because they're like, shit,
Mhm.
we got to top their act afterwards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I love it. I trust me. There's been days where we see other bands that perform, like, holy shit, that was awesome. Like, we
Yeah.
need more of that. And they're like, oh, we're trying to one up you guys. Like, good, great. Like,
Yeah.
or vice versa. I'm all for that. I'm all, like, again, just it's only going to make us better, stronger.
Absolutely.
More people want to come see us, and I think the results are starting to show here in
Yeah.
the Providence area.
They say iron sharpens iron, and
Exactly.
all. I mean, as long as it's within healthy parameters,
Mhm.
competition is a great thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I played football when I was a kid, and that was just, when you got your ass beat, I was an offensive lineman. Again, I'm a bigger guy. When I get knocked down, the guy picked me back up and said, "All right, man, let's try again, and try this technique." It's
Yeah.
not you. You don't want to be like raw over someone and be like, "I beat you at." Nah, man, you try. We're a team. We're a team, like a football team.
Exactly.
We're like a football
Exactly.
team, and everyone has their role and position to fill. I can't believe making this a football analogy. This is great. But literally, we're all a team, and it's only going to make us
Yeah.
stronger and better, and more people figure out who we are and come see us, and again, pay their very hard-earned money to come spend time with us, and we mean that from the bottom of our hearts.
Right. Right. Yeah, my son is a lacrosse player, which I know
Nice.
is big up in your
It
neck of
is,
the
yeah.
woods. It's just starting to catch on down here in Atlanta, but he
Mhm.
loves it. So.
Yes. Still don't know too much about it. I've seen it. I
Mhm.
know the ball goes in the net. After
Yeah.
that, I think I got the. It's like, people I talk to in football and stuff like that. Ball goes in, end zone. That's all you need to know. There's a lot more
Yeah.
intricacies and stuff.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he's been playing a little over 3 years now, and there's still a lot about it I don't understand. I
yeah,
have to go ask him later. What was
yeah.
that all about? But
That's right.
so we're getting actually to one of my favorite questions.
Mhm.
I've asked this on every one of these, and I just it's probably my favorite question because I just get some really cool answers. And
Okay.
that is, knowing everything that you know now, Zach, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I'm thinking about it. That's why.
Oh yeah,
Believing,
yeah,
yeah, believe in yourself. Um, the reason why especially in high school, I was pretty crazy thought. Yes, my bandmates and my buddies now. I was pretty quiet, pretty to myself and stuff like that. And there's still times I'm like that. Um, but I've always dreamt somewhat big of what I wanted to do with myself and with my life and within whatever parameters and such. Uh, I'm very I'm very grateful of just the position I'm in now. Not just with my band, but with my personal life. And uh, I've had a lot of great people around me, both family and friends, been supportive. Um, believe in yourself. That's probably the big one. That's I think those things you dreamt that you were 13, 14, hold on to those still. Don't let it falter. That'll probably be the best sort of advice I would give right there. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's those are definitely words of wisdom
Yeah.
there.
I'm not
Um,
going to cry on your stream, I promise. So,
you know, I just took a peek over at the Instagram tab
Mhm.
to see what's going on over there, and Ham Cravings is basically saying he's fact checking our boy.
I'm trying to. I hope so. I'm surprised he hasn't call or text me right now on my phone. Probably when we're done, he's going to call me and say, "All right, you got this one good. This one's a little off. This one there." So please, by all means, like I said, he can go a lot more detail, like with the lyrics and such. He can go way more in that sort of deal. That's for sure.
Well, you know, if he would be interested at some future point, maybe we can get him on here for one of these. You know, I mean,
Sure,
my focus has been bass players, but I'm open to talking to anybody.
sure.
And
Yeah.
and you know, you've been so entertaining.
Oh, good.
I'm sure it would be a hoot to have him as
He
well.
is. If you check out our other podcast, if I can shout it out real quick.
Oh,
So
please do.
we the band my band the Mighty Fall, we have a podcast. It's called Rock Bottom with the Mighty Fall, and it's literally the three of us. So it's me, Andrew, Nick, and I. So that's bass and our two guitar players. Our drummer Zach produces it, so it's all in house. It's all there's no talking head in the back telling us what to do, and we just
Right.
talk about. We're on we just did episode 12. We're going to be doing episode 13 at some point next week or so. And we first talked about how we got together, about the songs on the record itself, how they came to be, some of the processes, some nerdy stuff of, how the tones are created in sounds and stuff like that. And now we're getting to the point where we're bringing on local talent of our local, some of our favorite bands. And I invite anyone within the local scene to reach out to us on Instagram, just show us a DM, and we'll get you on. And you know, just we'll talk, we'll bullshit, we'll have a couple of beers, and we'll promote you guys up the ass. And please do it. So it's been awesome. It's been great for a social media vehicle outside just our music, just for people like, oh, well, these are some funny, crazy guys, like you're saying. They're entertaining. How they do in the live setting, and then we that's when we trap them. That's when we get them in right then and there. So,
Gotcha.
but like I said, that's Rock Bottom with the Mighty Fall. Please check us out on YouTube and Spotify.
Nice,
Yes.
nice. So, do you have any suggestions for any other bands from Providence to check out or potentially reach out to do one of these live stream chats?
Um, I would just DM us. We have our social media page on Facebook. We have a link tree. We have an active Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We put over a stream. We actually have a video podcast that we're
Hmm.
doing. Uh, please reach out to all of us. I think, and I'm sure Nick's fact checking right now. All the guys have been coming up. Again, funny thing is, people have been literally been asking us at our shows like, "Hey, can we go on the podcast?" Because we love to promote our stuff. We're like, fuck yeah, like let's do it. Like, because again, it brings, and we get to meet them, and it's kind of funny to meet the people outside of our musical center. Because when you're at a show, not to say there's a facade being put on, but again, people are nervous, people are getting ready, getting amped up. It's like at a game. But once you get
Right.
them outside of it in a much more, a home setting, having a drink, having a beer, having some food, whatever, and just general bullshitting with each other. There's been some chats we had with some local guys that I've known for years, but like really gotten
Hmm.
to know. It's like, wow, you guys are like really cool, and they got some really cool, interesting hobbies and talents. Like, cool, I would love to go do this with you guys or go do that outside of the scene and stuff like that. But yeah, please reach out to us, DM
Oh yeah,
us
yeah,
and stuff like that.
absolutely.
We would love to do it.
Well, something else that I've done on every one of these is I've given everybody I've had on this a chance to pose a question for the next person in the hot seat. And so my last one of these was with a guy named Phil Balzer, who is the bass player for a band based here in Atlanta called Echoes of Savages.
Nice.
And so the question that he posed is there an effect that you feel is really crucial to your particular tone or sound that you can't live without?
That is a good question. If I were to guess, I actually never thought of that. That's, and I even saw it too inside. I would probably say there's a fuzz pedal that we've used. I haven't used it live yet. I would love to at some point. But in our record itself, there's a fuzz pedal. I want to make sure I get this right because I'm going to get fact checked. It's called Death. It's a Death by Audio Fuzz War, which is recorded through a Dark Glass Alpha Omega, which I know that sort of thing. That pedal has been really fun to use. And that's actually something Nick and I have been talking about a little bit of putting it in a live setting than in studio. We're still working out some kinks to make it sound good. But I just feel that would really up the it would just make it sound more it would just sound really damn cool for me at least.
Got you.
We'll go and make it work at some point. I definitely will. We're cavemen, but cavemen made fire, so we'll get there at some point too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So since this is part of a series, is there a question you would like to pose to the next person? And I'll go ahead and say the next person is going to be this Tuesday night at 8 p.m. I've got Bryant Perez, who he's a local artist here in the Atlanta area, and he's both a hip hop and metal artist.
Nice. Awesome.
So I'll be talking to him Tuesday night. But do you have a question you'd like to pose to him?
You know what? Now that you said that with his genre, with hip hop and metal, here's this is specifically for what's his name again?
Bryant Perez.
Brian. So Brian, so here's my question to you because that's a good one. And you probably noticed this. There's been a resurgence of new metal. You know what new metal is, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and I grew up. I was telling you earlier about my mother big into alternative music. She was the driving factor in me finding out who System of a Down was, in Korn, in Limp Bizkit. Crazy to think. I was 8, 9 years old, and it's that same old tripe. With all the metal elitists. Oh, that's not real metal and such. But they've got a really huge resurgence in the last, post-COVID, the last 2-3 years now. How has that helped out with his genre of music? I haven't heard any of his material. I'm assuming it's pretty similar. How has that helped out with his genre of music with the resurgence? Is that something that's been good for him? Has there been people that, hop on the bandwagon? As stupid as it sounds, people do that sort of stuff all the time. But to ask him if that's a good thing. It probably would be a good thing, but I'd love to hear the insight he would think with the resurgence of that sort of genre of music that he obviously plays himself in.
That's a very good question. I'm definitely excited to hear his answer on that. So I guess we can kind of start wrapping things up a bit. But how
there you go. Get the light on, baby.
You would
take your time. You're good. Don't worry. You're good. Don't worry, man.
So you had mentioned that you guys are finishing writing some new material and that you should have some new stuff coming out in the fairly near future. Can you talk about any of it? I don't want you to give away anything that you shouldn't, but tell us a little bit about what's coming.
So we have quite a few songs in the factory, as we would like to say, just kind of we've been pounding away at. We are hoping to, and this is more Nick and Andrew are the producers, so they'll have much more of a better idea. But we've been talking about not a new record this year, but definitely dropping some sort of a single, hopefully by the fall, maybe the winter. We would like to have something by the end of 2024. Other big thing we would love to do, and again, it's not confirmed yet, but we will love to do split EPs. That's something that we love to have, like another band of locally of ours. We do 2 songs, they do 2 songs, like new songs. Put them out as a split, and that's awesome because you have fans of one side looking at it and fans of the other, and it's kind of the meeting of the minds. It's like, oh, wonder what the Mighty Fall Guys doing, what's this band doing, and stuff like that. So
Right.
we're hoping by the end of this year, we will hopefully get some hopefully newer material out. I can't go into much more detail than that,
Right.
but definitely check us out. But we're definitely writing some new stuff. We've been playing the film on location stuff for many years at this point. I still love them, but we're ready to start putting out some new material. And what we have cooking is it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a very very fun. A lot of eye openers for us, both fans, both old and new.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah. I'll just make a quick mention of this. I did the first one of these back last month in May,
Mhm.
but I'm doing a monthly new music spotlight show
Mhm.
where basically, like, if a band has a new song coming out in that month, basically I will I'll play the song in its entirety, and then either live or we could do like a pre-recorded segment, have members of the band come on and basically talk about the
Mhm.
song, what it means, the
Mhm.
recording process, the songwriting process, that kind of thing. And it's just another way to bring attention to new music. So as I'm planning to stay in touch with you.
Absolutely.
So so once you guys have a better idea of when something new is coming, I'd love to have you guys have a standing invitation to come on the new music show, and we'll get your stuff out to my audience.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm sure the other guys will agree with it as well. We'll take it. We'll go anywhere you want. We'll go to friggin' China if they pay for the tickets. We'll do it, baby. No problem with
Yeah,
us. Sounds good to me.
awesome, awesome. Well, anyway, for those of you that have been watching live, thank you. For those of you that are going to be watching in replays, thank you for that as well. If you like what we've got going on here, please continue to spread the word. This thing is really starting to gain some traction, and I'm just excited to see it continue to grow. I'm going to pop over one last time over to Instagram and just see if anything's going on. Looks like my boys in Quadrant, who are a metal band out of Boone, North Carolina, that I had their bass player on a few weeks
Nice.
ago. They're in the chat, and they just actually had their comeback show last night in Boone, and apparently it went really well. So
Awesome.
so
That's
that's
great.
that's exciting for them. But anyway, everybody have a great night, a safe week ahead. And like I said, I'll be back Tuesday night at 8 with Bryant Perez. And then Thursday night at 8, I've got Woody Hughes from a symphonic metal band called Divine Martyr. And they're out of, I believe, Indiana. So anyway, so I've got those two coming up, and then next week on the 18th, I've got this month's new music show, and I've got Kill the Fall, which is a band I had on some time ago. They've got a new song dropping this month, so they're going to come on, and actually Bryant Perez, the guy that I'm talking to next, is going to be coming on the new music show to play a couple of his new tracks.
Nice.
But anyway, thank you, Zach. This has been a blast. And we will, like I said, I'll be back Tuesday. And everybody have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.